A very good morning. You're watching News9 with me, Deepak Bopana. And first up, the increasing number of rapes, assaults and molestation cases in Bengaluru has left many aggrieved. Numerous organizations and groups were seen on the streets raising their voices against increasing atrocities against women. Now, 68 pro-Kannada organizations have also joined and called for a bandh in Bengaluru today. So the entire city will be in a state of bandh from dawn to dusk today. However, schools and colleges will remain open, theatres will remain open. We will have BMTC buses plying on the roads as usual. However, the other many private institutions, shops and other things might be shut today. We will have to wait and watch the intensity of the protests. Pro-Kannada activists will be taking part and demonstrations will be seen across the city. So we will have to wait and watch how intense these protests will go on. Security has been put in place for today's bandh as well. Well, the big question is it safe to step outside? Will there be violence on the streets? These are just a few questions on everyone's mind, but not much is expected to happen as many have refused to take part in the bandh. Now, public transport will function as usual. KSRTC, BMTC, Auto Drivers Organization and cab drivers have refused to participate in the bandh. The government was expected to extend their support, but the government, schools and colleges will remain open. Banks, hospitals, pharmacies and ambulance services are expected to function as usual. Now, milk supply too will remain unaffected. The Karnataka Philp Chamber of Commerce too will not participate in the bandh. A decision on private schools not under KUSMA joining the bandh will be taken by the individual school management. This is depending on the situation in the areas where the schools are located. Meanwhile, the city will turn into a fortress today. 1,000 home guards, 50 KSRP teams, 24 CAR teams, 2 BSF teams will be deployed to maintain law and order in the state. Now, just yesterday, the Home Minister had given clear directives that anyone indulging in violence will be booked under the Gunda Act. Now, given that scenario, one is hoping that the bandh turns out to be a peaceful one. So the security as well in place for the bandh today. For more information on this, I'm joined in by my colleague Arun. Arun, what is the intensity that we can expect from today's bandh?
Deepak, we are just minutes away from the scheduled start of the bandh, so actually the impact could be felt a little bit later, but clearly at this point of time, the government is doing all that it needs to do to ensure that nothing untoward happens. That's the reason why they've made it clear that as far as both the KSRTC and the BMTC buses are concerned, they will all ply today. In fact, it is like any other normal day, but for the fact that some of these schools, particularly the private schools and colleges, have tried to take a bit of a precaution. That's the reason why they have announced a holiday. So kids will be out playing perhaps. But clearly the message that the protesters, the pro-Kannada activists are trying to send across is a very important message that society per se is not in a position, we will not be in a position to stomach the growing incidence of atrocities against women, particularly young children. There is a need for the government to get its act together. That is perhaps the most important message. But clearly, essential services, particularly supply of milk, etc., has been organized. The protesters have made it clear that if it is a case of essential services, be it medical services or even milk, those supplies will continue without any disruption. We are even given to believe that early morning newspaper vendors have been collecting their bundles of newspaper to deliver it to respective homes before the Bandh officially kicks off from 6 a.m. and goes on till 6 in the evening. But clearly, at this point of time, it is very clear that it's too early times. We will have to wait it out to see what will be the impact. The government on its part has made it clear that it is willing to allow for these protests to take place as long as these protests are peaceful. There is no incidence of violence. In fact, that is what has been apprised to the senior police officials, including the City Police Commissioner M.N. Reddy, that let the protest go on, let it be peaceful. But if it is going to be violent, then they have made it clear that the protesters or those who engage in violence will be booked under the Gunda Act. So clearly, a lot of police bandobast to ensure that nothing untoward happens, and we have to wait it out to see what happens next, Deepak.
Well, Arun, the Bandh was supposed to be called a few days earlier. It was postponed to 31st. Now, the KSRTC, BMTC, auto drivers, cab drivers, all of them pulling out of the Bandh. Any specific reason why people are backing out of this Bandh, and only we could see pro-Kannada activists taking up this particular Bandh?
Deepak, that reason why they've backed out of this thing is not clear. But one thing is certain, irrespective of whether they participate in this Bandh or not, there is a point of view that society per se is not in a position to stomach this rising incidence of atrocities against women, particularly young children. So that's the reason why this morning call, Bandh call, was made, and it has received some kind of mixed response from people. But we will have to wait it out. As you rightly pointed out, certain sections of society, particularly, for instance, the filmdom. Yesterday we had the Karnataka Film Chamber of Commerce saying that the shooting for movies will continue because it involves a large amount of expense, and postponement or delay cannot be condoned. Also remember, movie theaters will be screening movies today, but we will have to wait it out whether there is any instance of violence or some kind of a fear factor that is driven in, and they are forcefully made to do shutters down. So we will have to wait it out. As I said a little bit earlier, it's too early times. Remember, we're barely about 10 minutes since the designated hour when the 12-hour Bandh starts. So the real response will happen perhaps half an hour, perhaps even 1 hour later. We will have to see whether the protests have begun. Remember, if you're trying to use the roads, you'll have to be extremely cautious, because the stretch from Town Hall going right up to Chief Minister Siddaramaya's official residence will be chock-a-block. That's the path that the protesters plan to take, because they want to go ahead and submit a memorandum to the Chief Minister asking for protection to women. So that will be the path on which the protesters will take out the procession. But that will happen later in the day, maybe around 9:30 or 10 in the morning, Deepak.
Right, Arun. Now, for all the children who are going to schools, which will remain open today, and all of them office goers who will be heading to office now, is it safe for them to use public transportation or their own means of transportation to head to their office or school, Arun?
Deepak, as I said a little bit earlier, the Bandh has just started. It's barely about 10-15 minutes since the Bandh officially started. At this point of time, it looks like it's a peaceful Bandh, but you cannot discount the possibility of violence. That's the reason why you are seeing something like 50 KSRP platoons being positioned across strategic locations in the city. So you cannot rule out the possibility of some kind of violence or vandalism taking place. So it is a call. It's a very difficult call at this point of time to say whether it's safe for you to travel or commute to work, but as far as the students are concerned, particularly school students, most of the private schools have played it safe. They've decided not to actually have these classes conducted today. Also remember, today happens to be a festival, Nag Panchami, so there is a bit of possibility that some of the schools have declared a holiday because of the festivity. Some have decided to play it safe, and taking into consideration the possible impact of the Bandh, they've decided to call it off. So most of the schools per se have decided to remain shut, but office goers, it perhaps is left to them to decide what they should want to do, because remember, things can really slip out of hand at any point of time, because if the protesters decide to up their ante, then the people who are the office goers could be severely impacted. At this point of time, let me point it out, Deepak, that there is normal services of BMTC, that's the buses in the city, and KSRTC, that is the interstate and intrastate transport corporation buses, are still plying. There is no problem per se, but you can't rule out the possibility that things could slip out of hand, Deepak. So at this point of time, it looks everything is peaceful, but one can't rule out the possibility that things may change as time passes, Nolan. Deepak.
Right, Arun. Thank you for all that information. Well, that was my colleague Arun there going on to say that office goers, right now there are BMTC buses to ply you to your office. If you're going in your own vehicle, you need to be a little wary, because these protesters are going to be marching from primarily through town hall to the CM's residence. So if you're passing through those areas, you need to be a little wary. However, the Bandh full-fledged will start in a few minutes. As of now, the KSRTC buses, the BMTC buses will be plying on the road